Welcome to Rock Around the Clock. Google Stadia news and gameplay live at the same time every day, Monday to Friday. Every day we check out the latest Stadia news across the internet live, closing with Stadia gameplay and chat with your host Rock and occasional guests. But first, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on the latest Stadia news. If you'd like to support my content, please consider joining Team Rock by hitting the join button on this page. Boom! Hello! Happy Monday! Happy new week! Hope you had a good weekend. You didn't stress out too much. I know what you like. I know what you lot get like. That was the phrase I was trying to come up with. Firstly, let me just check the audio. There I am. I can hear myself. Wow, that's amazing. Listen, I hope you lot are good. We got a packed show. I mean, it is packed to the rafters. Look, even me founders controllers flying off the desk. It's so excited. Who have we got here? Why not? I really hope that AC Mirage is... No, we don't want to be talking about that. Not yet, anyway. Let's just hold our horses. I've got some weird stuff going on, guys, so I can't see all of your chat messages, but I will do my best to cover them all. I promise. But in the meantime, what's going on? Get out of here. I can't get rid of them. I'm going to have to turn them off. I did the foolish thing, and a half of me said before I did it, there was an update. You know what it's like when you say it says update and you think, yes, brand new, shiny, new features, let's do this. And I wish I hadn't. Because I'm not getting to see all your beautiful messages now. Having said that, let me just, if you can bear with me, it'll be worth it for my own sake, if nothing else. Let me turn off magnify and copy that link and then paste it here, and then hopefully I can at the very least see what you guys are saying to me, which I hope is nice. I hope you're being friendly chums. I can see all your messages, I just can't throw them up on the screen. But let's quickly run through. So many of you here, thank you so much. My very good friend Ray3473, that's his Twitch channel, by the way. And if you don't catch Ray on Twitch, you are missing a massive treat. In his time zone, which is PDT, he goes late at night, so it kind of runs up to midnight. For me, it's the first thing I see when I wake in the morning is his lovely face. And this morning he was doing some Rogue Rebel stuff. It was really cool. John, Mr. Four Scars Gaming, is also in the chat. Lovely to see you, my friend, that's for sure, as always. We have Gamer Mink. How are you doing, brother? And Winstar is in the house as well. Zero Games for me. Bjorn Brorsen, otherwise known as my compatriot co-host of Rock Players. He says, we work in the dark to serve the light. Yes, this is true. Cloud Gaming Dan, how are you, Joe? Hello, Rock and chat. We had fun on Saturday. If you guys missed it, we did a live stream of the Ubisoft Forward. There were all of the Rokk Show hosts, with one exception of John, who was actually at the Ubisoft party. Can't blame him for that. We'd have all done the same thing. Obi Rose Kenobi, what up? Good to see you, my friend. Oh, look, they're starting to come through now. We have Stadia Pro Gaming. How are you doing, William? With his emojis. Man, you're either smoking or you're having a cigarette. I'm not quite sure what that means. I hope it's a good thing, because you don't want to be smoking none of them cigarettes. They stunt your health. You know that, don't you? So much fun. It was great fun. We had a really cracking time in that show. Crow Risen, how are you, my friend? Great to see you as well. Thank you for joining. They're starting to come through now. This is good news. This is good news. Stadia Man. Wow, good to see you. Thank you for joining. He's a bit concerned about the whole logo issue. Yeah, I know. Most of you are, but we're going to cover it, okay? And we'll chat about that in the very near future. We're just going to run through the general news, and then we'll settle down. I've got my juice. We'll have a little chat about that, and we'll weigh up the pros and the cons. Who else we got here? We got Eli. Great to see you, Eli. I hope you're keeping well, my friend. Haven't seen you for the longest time. The original Hitman. Yeah, I hope you're doing well, brother. Great to see you. So yes, it was a good weekend, and we did have some concerning issues. But let's face it: if you're a long-term fan of Stadia, when was it never the case? But I hope to help you. Maybe ease you down a bit with some of my thoughts after we've got the news out of the way. And of course, later today, you have got Clive. Clive will be on, I think, 10 p.m. my time. So that's about 7, it's about another 4 hours, I think, 5, 6, 9, 10, about that, 5 hours. So check Clive out, because I know he's been writing and rewriting his thoughts. And that's what Clive does. I just tend to shoot from the hip. But it's much better when you can put some thought behind it. No more cancer sticks. Wrong emoji, says William. Good man. Good man. Right, we've got a load of news, so let's jump in there anyway. I am hoping that there is some music. Yes, there it is. I can barely hear it. I don't know why I'm not hearing... Ah, there it is. I can hear it a little bit now. Right, guys. It's 11 o'clock for the CEST people. Yes, it certainly is. Thank you, Eli. And it's earlier if you're somewhere else in the world, of course. But any road up, catch Clive later, and I'll give you my thoughts ahead of time. I'm sure we'll cross over on a lot of our thinking. Music sounds fine. Thank you, Crow. I wasn't sure because all I'm hearing is my mic at the moment. I couldn't work it out. The same problem yesterday when I was streaming some games, but all good. All good in the hood. Now then, let's start. Let's kick over to the laptop of love. There she blows. There she blows, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, last week was a bit dead on the old news front. We still got through. We still covered a load of stuff off. Dead wasn't probably the right choice of words, given why, or partly why I didn't go live on Friday. Of course, in the UK, there is still a period of mourning. And it's about sensitivity, really, and respect. That's what it's all about. There are some people who having somebody like a royal in their life is consistency. It gives them something in a world of fast change to cling to. So to have that taken away at a time of rapid change, it's a worry, it's a fear. And I totally understand that. So, we've got to we'll step and tread carefully, but we don't go on in any of those topics, so it shouldn't be an issue. Anyway, right up at the top, of course, most of the news in the news comes from the Ubisoft Forward on Saturday. But basically, the Crew 2 and the Riders Republic, they're receiving massive updates. By the way, Stadia Dosage and Stadia Source covering pretty much the same news. So we'll stick with Stadia Dosage as we tend to lead with them. What else? I just want to make sure. I never want to miss any of what you guys have got to say, because you are a really important part of the show, and I respect that massively. She was a remarkable woman. God save the king. Yep, Charles III. Absolutely. I have a feeling he'll be a remarkable king as well, Stadia man. I'm particularly on issues around the environment. He's very much somebody for all of his life, really, has been one for the environment. So yeah, I think it'll be good. I think he'll be good as a king. So yep, the Crew 2 and the Riders Republic are receiving massive updates. They are indeed. At Saturday's Ubisoft Forward event, the company announced the latest update for the Crew 2, Dominion Frozen. This is the second update in the Forsberg DLC, which will be free to everyone. In the announcement, they featured multiple cars, and there's a little list. The update will also expand on the world you'll be driving within and doing the various events in. The word frozen applies to the Dominion track, which will have completely frozen ground. Wow, that's going to really add a dimension, isn't it, with the old skids and what have you. I hope you're as hyped as I am, says... Who says? N2 Ola. Or is it N2? Yeah, N2 Ola. I hope you are as hyped as N2 Ola is. As on this update, the Crew 2 has been killing it with these last couple of updates, and I'm sure this will be no exception. There you go, Riders Republic as well. They showed the BMX bike stuff, which looked really cool. Riders Republic's a game that I honestly slept on until a couple of months after release as N2OLA. But with this update, that is also coming on September 14th, which, looking at my clock, is Wednesday. You better believe I'm going to be in there hitting the sickest grinds and tricks on my BMX bike. I'm a little too old. BMX bikes came out after me. I had a rally, what did I have? A rally chopper. In my day as a young lad, you either, if in the UK, you either had a rally grifter or a rally chopper. And I had a blue rally chopper. I love that bike. I think my brother may have had the grifter, which looked like a sort of a, like those lowrider bikes with the, the cow horn bars and the long seats. It was just great. I tell you what, they're collector's items now. But anyway, if you're into BMXing, this is going to be a massive update for you guys. Both titles receiving the updates 14th of September. So get ready for that. They should be called Just Dance. Yeah, Just Dance 2023. Jack's written this one. It's coming to Stadia as well. So while the Assassin's Creed... move past that. I don't want to talk about that till we get there. Speculation. Another game beyond Trackmania, which is an earlier article, which we'll have a look at, did get 100% confirmed as coming to Stadia in today's Ubisoft Forward event. I swing between calling it Ubisoft and Ubisoft, and I've got a feeling that I think they call it Ubisoft, but either works. I genuinely don't think they care. Stadia is dead, says Ron, who's normally here for the tacos, it has to be said. I popped into... Ron, I've got a bone to pick with you, talking of skulls. I popped in to watch your stream earlier, which I was enjoying, but the comments were turned off. I was going to leave an irreverent comment to rival your normal ones, but I couldn't. I just thought, wow, how rude. Zero says the Crew 2 is my most played game on Stadia. There you go. Do you know what? Full confession, whenever I have played the Crew or Crew 2, I have loved it. But I forget to go back into it and get magpied off onto shinier things. But I really must. And I keep getting, I don't know who it is, but I keep getting invites to play it. But they catch me at the wrong moment, so I have to sort of say, can't do it. Just Dance. Yep, Just Dance. One of the Ubisoft series that's commonly found in the GFK top sellers list that Stadia Dosage tracks weekly. It may not be a gamer's game. Well, it is. It's a game played by gamers, but it is a massively popular series of families. Yeah, it really is. And, if you go down to any gaming arcade, they still exist, in caravan parks and stuff. And that massive thing that takes up half the floor, which is like like a dance-off thing with two people that have to jump on the coloured squares and stuff. It's like always the one that everybody is using. It's always taking the quarters. People love to dance. They love the music. And with all of these kind of just dancey type games, they keep them updated with the latest tracks. And I just like to watch people dance and listen. But, that's my peccadillo. Back in time. Oh yes, Ubisoft Plus is free until October the 10th. If you jumped on this on the, where are we, the 12th? It was the 10th, wasn't it? 10th of September, a couple of days ago. You would have got a full month, but it's still there and it runs until October 10th. Now you do have to commit to the contract, i.e. put your card details in, but as long as you cancel before October 10th, if you want to, then you won't be charged. And it does give you an opportunity to try out a ton of games. I mean, there are a ton. There's about 35, 40 games on Stadia. There you go. As they say here, there are about 40 Ubisoft games on Stadia, most of which are part of Ubisoft Plus. And they've got all the big ones, all the more modern Assassin's Creeds, the Far Cry, Watch Dogs. Just a ton of games. You really need to take up that offer. Hello, Lo-Fi. How are you, sir? Good to chat the other day on Cowboys Chat Show. That was good fun. I enjoyed that. So yeah, go and sign up. You can. I'm trying to think. There's a specific link. If you just Google 30 days of Ubisoft Plus or Ubisoft Plus for free or something along those lines, you should find the link. I've had Ubisoft Plus for the longest time, and in that time I've played so many games. I've got absolute value from it. Totally worth looking. Says David, might have to cancel my current Ubisoft to get an extra free couple of weeks. Yeah, well, you could just bear in mind, David, whenever you took out your original Ubisoft Plus on Stadia, if you were one of the people that took it out when they launched it, there was a legacy price that carried forward. So they increased the price, but I believe they kept it the same if you were like a granddad price, if you'd been there initially. Now, if you'd taken up the offer after that point, it doesn't matter, because you're basically going to pay the same either way. For me, though, it does matter because I did. So I've got the legacy price. So I'm just, not worth the bother. But I hear you, brother. I hear you. The mind of a champ, says Lo-Fi. Yeah, man, every penny counts. Every penny counts. But, if you've not done the Ubisoft Plus thing, I would definitely do it. And don't forget, it's not just Stadia. If you happen to have a PC, you can access a ton. There's over 100 games. So well worth a look on that front. We'll come back to Mirage. Trackmania. I tell you what, I've seen the game, the title of the game bandied about a lot, Trackmania, but I'd never played it. Well, today, or at least when this article was written on Saturday, Ubisoft Forward event announced that it was coming to Stadia. And when I say I've seen it around, I think I've seen it in beta form on the Ubisoft site, and never bothered to look at it. But boy, did that game look good. It looked stunning. It looked like a souped up Hot Wheels, which I picked up the other day from somewhere. Oh, Humble Bundle. Most exciting for a particular 6-year-old at Jack's house, Trackmania on Stadia and its other platforms appears to have a very robust creation tool. Yeah, you can build your own tracks, which is amazing. You can also imagine game modes, paint 2D skins, edit replays, and I believe share those with your friends. Trackmania on Stadia and other platforms appears to also be extremely social, with regular content updates coming as well in regular Ubisoft style. So lots of goodies that were coming out of the Ubisoft Forward. This is great news from space, which, by the way, I looked up the other day, top 10 was it games? I forget, RPG games or something. And this guy from space came out number 2, ahead of Destiny, ahead of Warframe by Game Rant or somebody. It was one of the major publications. They really rated it. Now, I know it hasn't been published yet, but if you'd tuned in to our good friend John's show at the weekend, it was the hour before Ubisoft Forward. You would have seen them actually with Remco, who is the CEO of Triangle, the developer. You will have seen them playing Where It Is Now, and he came on, or I was on John's show when he first came on, and the game looked amazing then. And of course, we had a kind of a trial version for a while. It's moved on leaps since then. It looks amazing now. This is a game that I cannot wait for. But the great news is we're getting it at the end of the month as a pro game. Have you noticed over the last 2 months that we've got pro games for the following month right at the very end of a month? I wonder if that's becoming a thing. Who knows? But it is. That's, I think, largely because the game is launching worldwide on September 29th. So not only do we get it day and date, but we're getting it as a pro game. That's just amazing, amazing, amazing. So From Space, launching on Stadia later this month on September 29th. And during... Hey, Rudix, how are you, bro? Good to see you, my friend. And during today's live gameplay stream with friends of the site, Stadium Connect North, our very good friends, John and Maurice, with the developers Remco from Triangle, announced it was coming straight to Stadia Pro. We kind of wondered if that was going to happen between my little friendly base, and it was a probability that it could do, but to see it actually happen was just amazing. What a lovely piece of exclusive for John as well. Make sure to watch the video. Yeah, please do go along to John's channel on YouTube and check it out, because I love that guy, genuinely do. He's one of my best friends, and what he does, bringing the content, the interviews, the good news around Stadia deserves all of our praise. Here he is, look, 2bag313. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. And yep, the wild four scars, he's always there, but you've got to bear in mind that I'm doing this at a time when it's midday for John, and he's working and stuff. So Dre, my good friend Dre from España, Borcador, how are you, my friend? It's been, we got a ton of news. Let's see, what's next? That's a great piece of news. We would be leading with that any other day of the week. Pro game, wow. I bookmarked this, but as Stadia Dosage have got it, we'll have a look anyway. But I think it's pronounced Clabater, but it could be Clabater or Claybater, is a new official Stadia publisher. They announced this was the case. Hey Al, good to see you, my friend. We'll come back to it, don't you worry. School started, so party time for us parents, says Dre. Yes, I think it's pretty much happened now all over the place, isn't it? Mike, a good afternoon and a good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for popping in. Always an absolute pleasure to see you. Collaborator, says Lo-Fi Monk, just making it even more difficult for me. Thank you, my friend, Collaborator. Stanley. Collaborator is a new official developer. So here we've got a few of their games. They've got a few kicking around. Crossroads Inn, The Innkeeper's Creed, The Amazing American Circus, Tin Can, Kaiju Wars, Moonshine Inc., Heliborn Enhanced Edition, Orbit Industries, and Best Month Ever. Now, of course, they're an indie studio. My good friend Primo Yonic made a really good point earlier, actually. I think I bookmarked it, but I'm not sure we're going to have time today to go through our usual bookmarks, which was, actually, I was going to go off and do some research to back it up, but he basically said, yeah, of course, there's a load of indies on Stadia. The bulk of games on all platforms are indies. If you go to Steam, it's 90% indies with 10% AAAs. Same on PlayStation, same on Xbox. It's the indies. The indies are where the AAAs and the big boys come from. They're the seeds. Stadia's just nurturing them. And I wanted to look at what the percentage was if you looked at someone like Xbox or PlayStation. And you actually forget how many games, but you just worked out what percentage of them were indies versus AAAs, and then look at the percentage where Stadia is concerned. I have no evidence for this, but I have a feeling that we'd be surprised to find that relatively they're very similar. It's just that there's vast amounts more games, therefore vast amounts more AAAs. That's the kind of point. Lo-Fi says, yeah, that's why I was telling Cowboy I want AAAs, but there's way more indies that are really fun. You can't knock the indies. From, let's face it, what's the old film there? Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. You've got to start with something. You can't say, look, okay, there are 20 games on Stadia, but they're all bangers. Well, people are going to go, well, that's rubbish. Where's the sustainability in a platform you've got to have a ton of games. What Stadia have done is they've not just gone, because if you go and look at some of the newer cloud gaming platforms that have popped up, I'm mentioning no names, but you'll see that the vast majority of them are not only indies, but they're just kind of bargain basement stuff that nobody really played in the first place. Stadia curate everything that comes to the platform. It goes through a process. It has to be validated. It has to be certified. And then they get behind people like Outright Games for sure, but also Outbreak, the guy that recently got all of his money which I'm sure we'll come across. Give me those indies, says Mike. Yeah, there's some great ones. And he wrote up, Collaborator, a game developer and the publisher of a number of popular games, took to Twitter today. This article dated a date, which is escaping my eyeballs. No, September 9th. There you go. 4 days. 4 days ago? 3 days ago. They highlight that their titles plural, will soon become available on this modern Google streaming platform, which is exactly what they said. We're now officially Google Stadia Publisher, which means that they have been given the green light by Stadia. They've looked at their content, they approve of their content. They want to make sure, Stadia want to make sure when developers are allowed on the platform, not only do they bring class content, but they're going to be around to support it moving forward. You know, that they can't necessarily hold them to it, but they kind of want to feel that if they put a game on there and then they roll out an update a month later, that Stadia guys aren't going to get disappointed because it hasn't come. I suspect that wasn't a thing until relatively recently, but given how it reflects on Stadia, when we know a few of them, where, you know, there's a big hoobah about a game coming and it's a pro game, and then we hear nothing more from the developer. That's embarrassing for the platform, and I'm perfectly sure they've taken that into consideration. Stay tuned. You'll not only get new games, but also a new place in the cloud to play them. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So there you go. They're saying they've got new games coming and there'll be a new place to play them, which is Stadia. And bless them, and I wish them the absolute best of luck. Clubata generally operates in the strategy and simulation genre. Great. I mean, there's a big market for that on Stadia. They've developed a number of games, the most popular of which, based on overall sales, appears to be Crossroads Inn. And there is a trailer. I'm going to skip it, guys, if you don't mind, because we've still got some news to go through, and I want to have that discussion about Mirage with you fellas and get your thoughts and share your thoughts as well. They're also the publisher of games from in those same genres from other studios, including the highly anticipated upcoming game Moonshine Inc. That looks pretty cool. You can watch the trailer there. It's a bunch of Dukes of Hazzard types, by the look of it, getting up to their moonshininess. For now, no specific individual games have been confirmed as coming to Stadia, so stay on the lookout for future updates. To see all the games that are on their way, check out our list on Stadia. Stadia Dosage. So that's cool. That's really good news. Outbreak. Yeah, there we go. Outbreak Shades of Horror reaches its goal on Kickstarter. I know that you guys really got behind this. And, you know, there were specific Stadia-based rewards for that. So well done to you as a community. That's absolutely brilliant. Clive says Moonshine is the next release. Thank you, Clive. I wondered if you were in the background. He has to get pulled in by a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you watch his show later. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. Think of 100 Days, but with Moonshine. Oh, mate, that would be so fun. I love it already. Yeah, that would be really cool. Of course, doesn't mean that Stadia are condoning the brewing of illegal alcohol. Oh, no, no, no. But hat off to you guys for getting behind this dude and his wife to bring Shades of Horror to Stadia. And, you know, what it does, I think, more than anything, is it sends a flag to the rest of the indie development community of just how supportive we are and we could be for them. And that's why I think we're seeing so many people. There's been a campaign, a movement on Twitter recently, which I think is amazing to see, where, you know, studios are being approached by upstanding members and pillars of the community to ask if they would, very politely, mind you, think about bringing their game to Stadia. And more we're seeing them respond, not just thanks, we'll give it some thought, but actually give it really positive thought along the lines of it's definitely something we want to look at, or it's something we are looking at, or we've got some news for you soon. And I think, you know, this kind of thing, what you guys have done here, goes a long way towards reducing that risk. Because if you are a small studio, like these are, they're a one game at a time studio. Each one of those games is a massive risk for them. So any money they can raise that helps cushion that risk goes a long way. But equally, if they get it wrong and they spend time developing it for a platform that is completely unresponsive and unrespective to their game, that could be disastrous for a small business. So it's great for them to know that that's what's happening. Lord Vivek, how are you, my friend? Thanks for popping in. It's always a pleasure. SPG sending his rock love. Bless you, my friend. Is UB supporting for Stadia wavering? Well, Jerome, it's funny you should ask. We'll get on to that in a second. Just hold your horses there, boy. So anyway, that's great news. I'm really pleased. I'm really proud of you guys for getting behind this kind of an initiative. Now, what's going to go across to 9 to 5 Google and have a look? There was a big APK breakdown t'other day. But while we're still here, let's stick with Stadia dosage. So, yes, there was a big APK, and which is basically the Android pack that your Android version of the Stadia app, or any app for that matter, comes in. And if you can download it, you don't have to, with an iPhone app, you have to install it to the iPhone with an iOS app, so you can't intercept it and break it apart. And it's written with specific code for iPhones, whereas in the case of Android, it's not necessarily the case. It's probably written with Java, sometimes other bits and pieces thrown in, but if you break it apart like a little Kinder egg, a Kinder surprise, you'll find text within there, and if you can be bothered and spend the time, you'll find what we call strings of text that make sense. That's what these guys have been doing. I don't know that Jack does it. He may well do it, because it's the kind of thing I could absolutely imagine Jack doing. But we'll have a very quick read-et of it. Oh, Primo, good to see you, my friend. I mentioned you earlier. I gave you a nice little shout out, dude. It's good to see you. Over the last couple of months, we at Stadia Dosage have been doing our own Stadia APK findings for the Stadia Android app to discover potential upcoming features. In an attempt to be responsible human beings, we'd like to note that everything on this list should be taken with a grain of salt. Somebody told me, who shall remain nameless, who works at Google the other day, that the devs are cheeky little minks, and they absolutely have in the past put project code names that have set the community on fire, but they were absolutely meaningless. Little trolling minks that they are. They've all got to have their fun, right? So it's worth bearing that in mind. Occasionally they might be having a jest. And that's why these guys are rightly saying, take it as it comes. Because of the use of Flutter Dart, this is a new web-based app development language, or stack. These APK breakdowns are a little more complicated than most, involving lots of shell commands and string processing, techie stuff, basically what I've already said. So you should consider these particularly imprecise. So let's have a quick look at what they say. I think some of these are absolutely on the money though. First up, we see more mentions of 4K and 1440p streaming, which isn't yet available on phones. In new strings around data rates. This follows the additional strings we found previously, so there it goes. Data usage typically. So they're telling you in the app, which is the string, you can stream, if you stream at 4K, this could be 20 gig per hour. They tell you this on the browser app, and I believe in the Google Chromecast app as well. But of course, it hasn't been in the mobile because you couldn't until now. So we're seeing these strings. Of course, they've got to get switched on, and sometimes they'll put this into the app and it may never get switched on because the feature doesn't. Same there, same there. Data usage again, same thing, da-da-da, all of that stuff there about data usage. Perhaps next, the most interesting is the addition of a bunch of new strings around zoom and magnification. Zoom is interesting. Are we talking the brand name or zooming? I don't know. Why would they specifically target the brand Zoom over, say, Melon or Restream or StreamYard or even OBS? Surely that's more to do with, I don't know. Let's see what these guys say. It's hard to say if this is related to Stadia or something more general within Flutter. I think it's probably that, to be fair. But something similar to this support in other Flutter apps would be cool if it does come. And then there's a link through to a widget magnifier. So render magnification, and then zoom entire transition state, enter transition, and so on and so forth. So it could be the ability, is it Cupertino text magnifier state? That's interesting. Cupertino, as you guys may or may not know, is the hometown of Apple. So why that would be living in an Android app? That's an interesting question. And most of this stuff, to be fair, I think is beyond us, or certainly beyond me, but it's useful if you're into the tech side of Stadia. The 9 to 5 thing is maybe a little bit less techy, so you might want to have a look at that. Happy Cloud Gamer, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Norwegian god himself. How are you keeping, Martin? Your new work is so long. Oh no. Well, I hope it's enjoyable, mate, because nobody wants to work somewhere that's a long day and not enjoy it, surely. That would be nasty. So there you go, that's that. I think we're pretty much done on the news there. Stadia Source was very much the same. Over at 9 to 5 Google, they had the whole same thing, the APK. They will quickly read their interpretation and then we'll scoodle on. About the APK, there's a party stream for Android. Let me just make sure this is not the old one. I'm fairly certain September 8th, yeah. Last month, Stadia unveiled a new feature called Party Stream that makes it all too easy to share your gameplay with friends, where previously you would need to start a YouTube live stream and send the link to your friends. Now you can simply enable Party Stream to allow anyone in your Stadia party to tune in. At launch, the feature was primarily available via the web app, with no Party Stream options available on Android. On the viewer's end, there's a button in the party menu called Ask to Watch, which is supposed to prompt your friend to start streaming if they wish. Today, using Ask to Watch on a friend playing via Android simply results in a dialogue that suggests you ask them to verbally to begin streaming. So go away, you haven't got it. In this update, we find new code related to this that suggests Party Stream could be coming soon to the Android app, which is accept Ask to Watch and accept Ask to Watch Action Share Game Stream. So that's good news. So if you're on your phone, you can ask to share somebody's game stream if they're not on, they're not you. So that'd be cool. Ubisoft Plus promotional trial elsewhere in the update. Stadia 4.33 includes a new code text rated Ubisoft Plus, which is the update, which is the October 10th free trial. It's in everybody's interests. Why wouldn't you? I haven't seen it yet in the store, interestingly enough, but I haven't really looked today, so it wasn't there over the weekend. Data usage wording tweaks. Yep, saw that, Rudigs. Thank you, my friend. Sorry, I just saw Rudigs saying that Stadia Source has a rumour game. I did actually do a bookmark on it as well, but I'm in two minds about the bookmark as we reach the 15 minutes to 6 mark. But yeah, I might have a quick look at that. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for reminding me. Data usage, we've seen all of those. We'll go back to Stadia Source. We're whipping through it today, ladies and gents, just after Club Beta. Here we go. Arctic Awakening. Could Arctic Awakening be coming to Stadia? Now, Arctic Awakening, which is a studio, had a little tweetette saying we had a promising meeting with them last week. Again, I think, these days you've got to approach Stadia and go through a process of validation. I think it's just to make sure that there's a meeting of minds, and then if both parties are committed, they move forward. So great news, always great news. Goldfire Studios, beg your pardon. The game is Arctic Awakening, the first-person narrative adventure game. Love those. Set in the unforgiving Arctic, your plane crashes in a storm, leaving only your AI drone for company. As you journey to find your co-pilot and uncover the dark mysteries buried beneath the ice. Oh boy, this sounds so far up my street. Graphically, it looks great. Look at this. Of course, these are watercolour proof of concept graphics, but nonetheless, if it looks anything like that, I'm in. Why the rumour? This is good. Stadia Source are doing a little bit of critical thinking. Love that. We should all do that. The title has a few breadcrumbs which may lead to a Google Stadia release. Let's take a look. The game was created using Unity, which is known to be a very Google Stadia friendly tool. It's not sausage machine, but it does a lot of the hard work, and there's a relationship, a partnership between Stadia and Unity to make sure keep updating the tools. The studio is expressing a very positive relationship with Google Stadia directly on Twitter, which we just saw. So keep your eyes on this title. We anticipate a Stadia release announcement in the future. I think that's a good shout, Stadia Source. Definitely, that would be a great show, great game to come. I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. The final thing is, which we did nearly miss, just after my last show on Thursday, the little blighters at Stadia released a Stadia community blog, 10 a.m, which is an hour after we went live, to announce, or confirm the announcement anyway, of Snowtopia. Which just looks stunning. Everybody is looking forward to that. A game called Somni, which I love the look at. This is from Antler, a multiplayer psychological horror first-person shooter. This looks really good. Look at this. Blinking light, so you only get to see the impending doom in the shadows. Looking forward to that one. Become fully immersed. And Gravatar Recharged. We thought it was coming. We thought it would be the next Stadia release, confirmed by Stadia. So what's not to love? I'm good, Adam. Oh, that's great news to hear, my friend. I'm always pleased. Me and Marty go back a long way, don't we, buddy? And I saw the cowboy. There he is. Rock and chat. The cowboy's in the building, and this stream is going to be epic. Well, that remains to be seen. But Gravatar Recharge looks brilliant. And then Slaycation, again, another title that was kind of hinted at coming, but it's great to see it coming. This is a kind of, what do you call it? Not parallax, but kind of XCOM over the distant shoulder view. It's a twin stick, like Carnival of Horror Terror, whatever it's called. I'm sorry, guys, brain's gone. But nonetheless, a corker. And this is obviously a poo emoji showing as a nuclear explosion, which I think is probably the most appropriate use of that emoji I've ever seen. But it looks really good. Lots of progression. How do they describe it? What do they put it up here? You trying to say, well, boring, Slaycation Paradise offers the ultimate multi-dimensional apocalyptic tours. Slay away your worries with twin stick action with tower defense as you visit the end of world scenario of your dreams. Absolutely brilliant. So there you go. We got some, and they also went on to confirm cities, down here, where are we? Here we are. It's up here. FIFA 23, Skull and Bones, Dead Island 2, and of course Paw Patrol Grand Prix. So amazing stuff there. Amazing stuff. Right, okay. My thoughts on Ubisoft, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get something up on screen for you, which has nothing to do with what I'm about to say, but it'll give you something to look at. Where are we? What's up with... Okay, we'll put this on screen. You can read it if you want to. So, lots of speculation. The problem is the community, although more stable and more grounded than it has been probably in its entire history, it's still a little bit brittle. It's still a little bit fragile. And when there's any kind of confusion or doubt, it plays itself out like an explosion, particularly in social media. So you see those camps come together again. There's the camp that is totally behind Stadia. There's the camp that is behind Stadia but slightly cynical. And then there's the kind of contrarians who will always come and say the opposite, whatever's being said. And at some point or another in the past, they laid their flag in the sand that Stadia was never going to succeed. And any small crumb that comes their way, they love to turn it into a huge feast. And it upsets people. So I put some feelers out to people that I do know. I know a couple of people at Stadia, and I know one person at Ubisoft, who, though, is not involved directly with this game. What they said to me was that they would be amazed if it wasn't coming to Stadia, but there is definitely some confusion, and they didn't have much more information than that. But what I wanted to do, and I think this is, or I know this is how Clive also will approach it later. Let's look, in the absence of evidence, let's at least weigh up the probability, all right? Because that's what we've got. It's not evidence or lack of evidence that's the problem here, because in truth, some sources within Ubisoft, and I'm talking about publicly accessible sources, certain blogs, certain websites, state that it will be on Stadia, and other places it's just not there. It's not that they've said it's not coming, it's just not there. And so the leap of correlation is that if it's not there, it ain't coming. But we know that that's not always been the case with Stadia, guys. We've seen games in the past. I mean, look, the most recent one, Fifth Grader, that recently came to Stadia, right up to the day that it landed, it never said it was coming to Stadia. That's kind of how some of this works. And there could be a number of reasons. But one of the leaps of conclusion that's been reached by the community is that Luna, because it is stated as coming to Amazon Luna must have done a deal. Ubisoft must have done a deal with Luna. Look, balance of probability, all right? It's possible, but Ubisoft has to be really careful where it treads. It has to, because of what it sells, remain relatively neutral. It has to, because their business model has moved on from being on a game-by-game sale basis towards a very lucrative, I saw some numbers over the weekend of what they're making from Ubisoft Plus, and it's eye-watering. And that's where they're moving as a company. It's really important to Ubisoft that they have to be across all platforms. And because of that, they have to have as many of the same games on all those platforms because they're charging a similar fee. It's not in their interest to favour one platform or another. You imagine if they gave an exclusive to Xbox whilst they're in, as we know, negotiation stroke confirmation with PlayStation that Ubisoft Plus is coming to PlayStation. I mean, we've seen recently with Microsoft and PlayStation how tender that relationship over Call of Duty. So they've got to be really, really careful. The balance, therefore, of probability is they wouldn't do an exclusive deal against Stadia because it's likely to prejudice their relationship and, most importantly, upset Ubisoft Plus subscribers who are paying an additional amount to their Stadia Pro subscription to play those games on Stadia. Plus, they promote Stadia as their cloud platform. Wherever you see them mentioning where you can sign up and play on the cloud, it's Stadia that they throw out there. So, as I see it, other than obviously delivering value to shareholders, which is always every company's primary priority, they've got two other priorities in their current form. One is to create compelling content that encourages new subscribers and discourages existing subscribers from cancelling. Their entire model is based on this. They have to keep creating content to feed that beast. And they have to make sure that all of those plates are spinning in a world of happiness, because if one of them topples off, it could be disastrous for them. And the other thing is to exist on all platforms. Those of us that have ever commented on Ubisoft Plus, back before it even came to Stadia, made that point that in order for Ubisoft Plus to work, it has to be everywhere you can buy a Ubisoft game. And that's what they've been doing, slowly and surely entering into partnerships with all platforms, all services, so that wherever you go, whichever is your particular favourite, you can play their games. There'd be no point in them keeping one game from one platform and another game from another. There are, of course, games that only exist on PC with Ubisoft, but they are also not available on other platforms like PlayStation or Xbox either in most cases. This is different. This is a game that follows on from the hugely successful Valhalla. It's a prequel to Valhalla. It uses the same game engine. It uses a lot of the assets dressed up for Mirage. It was one of the key priorities used to promote the rebadged Ubisoft Plus. It is a vanguard of a game for them, and they know that Mirage is going to sell or be extremely popular on all of their Ubisoft Plus platforms. Now, if Valhalla had never been released on Stadia, game over. I wouldn't imagine it would come, Mirage would come to Stadia, of course not. If Mirage had only been released on PC, or was only being released on PC, game over. Probably it would not be coming anywhere else either, Stadia or Luna. In terms of what's required to port it, it's a relatively small game compared to Valhalla. It's about a quarter of the size. So technically, it would be easier to port than Valhalla. And Valhalla was an excellent port. I don't remember anybody complaining that Valhalla was missing content or full of bugs. They did it. And remember, in terms of commitment, Ubisoft has more games on Stadia than any other publisher, and is well versed in porting even when the tools were rudimentary, back before Stadia launched, back when they were just testing it. Ubisoft was their partner who were there with an Assassin's Creed game, which they gave away to people if they stayed around. Now, Luna and Stadia have pretty much the same amount of games. At this moment in time, they're fairly neck and neck. The games they've ported to Stadia are the games they've ported to Luna. There's no probable cause for them to change that balance. It makes no sense. There are numerous examples of publishers not stating that their games will be coming to Stadia, and lo and behold, they pop up. We just mentioned Fifth Graders, which came recently. There's loads of them. It's always been the case. That's just how it's gone down. We've got no idea why. We don't know whether this is because Stadia requests publishers to not go out ahead of their own marketing or their own announcements. Could be. It could be. But we don't know. It could be that the game is still being ported, and there's a modicum of risk because there may be issues. It may not get completed in time, or it may not get through certification. We don't know, but it's possible. So, maybe people hedge their bets. Maybe, as I suspect, there's a clerical error. We've seen it recently where Stadia have published on the twos a game that's coming, and then realise they weren't ready yet, and they've had to pull it off. Embarrassingly, a couple of days later, they come back and say, yeah, okay, game's up, it is coming. These things happen. There's people in the chain, and sometimes the wrong message gets sent, or somebody forgets to give the message, somebody forgets to tell the web developer to update the website. There's this massive event called Ubisoft Forward. There's a ton of stuff going on for it. They've got a multitude of platforms they've got to think about. Stuff happens. There was some mileage made over the weekend on a reply from a Ubisoft support technician on Twitter saying that they had no confirmation, but anybody, that the truth is anybody in support, bless them, is usually the last line in the chain of knowledge. They are, their job is to help filter out problems, send them to the right places, and to set good stead by the company, to make sure they've got a smiley face in the world of social. But they are no more privy to what's being planned in marketing or at board level or between two platforms or a developer and a platform than, probably the lady that served them tea half an hour before. It's just the way it is. So if you ask Google Stadia or Ubisoft support, is this going to happen? Is Stadia coming to Cleethorpes or to Alabama or Hawaii or wherever? They don't know. They wouldn't know any quicker than you or I. They might get told an hour before a press release. So there's no point asking those guys. If you want it, you've got to get into the Discords and into the forums and make friends, and even then you'll be lucky because they've got to remain tight-lipped on a lot of this stuff. So the balance of probability, as far as I am concerned, is firmly in favour of the game coming to Google Stadia. As it's not only a platform close to Ubisoft's heart, but they charge separately to Stadia users. They have to keep them happy. I cannot see any earthly reason for a game that is not just exclusive to PC not to be ported to Stadia. Now, I can't say whether that's going to be a day and date. I wouldn't want to say that. It may be a month after. Who knows? But they are a company with 45,000 employees. They've got 15 to 20 studios. There must be at least 2 people who can port that game in time for its release next year. And I would be I'll volunteer. Just set me in the right direction. I'll do it and I won't charge. I can't see it happening. To miss a key title would be detrimental to them as it risks stumping growth in the platform or worse, churning users. People are already saying if it doesn't happen here, that's it, I'm off. And you know, that may or may not be the case, but it leaves a nasty taste. My belief on probability is that we will get it. I believe that right now there is communication going on between Stadia and Ubisoft where one or the other is saying, please can we say something? We've got to say something. This stuff gathers moss quickly. And if we don't jump in there, we're going to get I've been attacked twice today on Twitter. My credibility and one guy accuses me of taking the rise out of mental health half an hour after I put a tweet out saying that I struggled with mental health after playing Destiny for 3 years. And he considered that to be me making a joke. This stuff shouldn't be happening. It's a platform, it's a game, it's a gaming platform. Ultimately, whether we get it day and date or we don't get it for a few weeks after, whether we've got a special treat lined up, who knows? We may get it as a pro game. I don't know, guys. Probably not, but we don't know. But I'm absolutely convinced that it will come on the balance of probability. And for that, I've put my money where my mouth is, as you will have seen on Twitter. It was partly I wanted to try and diffuse the venom and the toxicity going on. But equally, I wanted to say this is how strongly I believe it will come to Stadia. And I will stand by that. If it doesn't come, and stranger things have happened, good show, I will happily take one person from that list and give them the $50, no questions asked. And I'm not asking for anything in return if it comes, except maybe a little pat on the back. Wouldn't go amiss. Right, there you go. Breathe. That's where I am with this, guys. As I said, I have had some insider feedback that implies that they would be surprised if it didn't, but they didn't have any further knowledge. Take that for what it is. It's probably no stronger in truth than my arguments for it. But the key thing is chill. We've still got a ton of games. We've got a ton coming from Ubisoft. Mania alone's worth the price of entry. And I'm absolutely sure there'll be more to come as well. We've got the new Valhalla DLC, the last chapter, the very final chapter that culminates the story of Ava's quest. That's coming up soon. I believe, certainly this year, I would hope maybe October time. So look forward to that. And let me know, guys. You've been very quiet while I was ranting on there. Let me know your thoughts. I am totally open to everybody's opinion. As I said earlier to Martin, as far as I'm concerned, you can have an opinion, but you have to recognise that it is only an opinion. And with the absence of fact or empirical evidence, it will only be an opinion. And on that basis, this is why I'm happy to be laughed out of court if it doesn't turn up, because you have to be. If you have an opinion in life, you've got to be prepared for the fact that you may be wrong. And if I'm ever wrong, I'm the first one to apologise, put my hand up and say, there you go. But it's an opinion, and that's all we can have. Well, it's 6:05. There you go. A little bit longer than I'd hoped. Now, I don't normally do this on this show. As you know, this is normally reading news, but I wanted to put some stuff out there, some food for thought for you guys chew over. And Rudig's, where are we? Stadia Source has room. I wrote that one. Oh, did you, mate? Oh, that's good to know. That is good to know. I didn't know you were in the writing. That's he's referring to the Arctic Awakening. Bless you, my friend. That's cool. Death Run TV and Death Carnival. Thank you for. This is what happening recently. It goes dead, and then all of a sudden there's this massive wave of messages, which is why I'm getting these. I'm getting all of these coming in now. So apologies if I didn't respond to you while I was talking. It wasn't that I was ignoring you. I genuinely have only just seen these. Happy says, when will you ever go into voice acting? Oh, I'd love to, my friend. I genuinely would love to. Start a campaign, hashtag it, get me a job. I'm up for it. I'll even get my teeth sorted. Like, I want to get this one sorted. I hate it sticks out. What we got here? Ubisoft support Twitter account said it, but left it open. Yeah, they kind of said we don't have anything for you, but yeah, that goes without saying, mate, doesn't it? I've worked support in the industry in the past. Support know as much as you and I. Yeah, Bjorn, absolutely right, my friend. Carboy disagrees. That's fair. If that was the case, For Honor would be on Stadia. I don't think it's on Luna though, is it, mate? So check that one out, Cowboy. If it's on Luna, then, that decays the probability somewhat, but not necessarily. Clive says, a Luna exclusive, he agrees. A Luna exclusive makes no commercial sense to Ubi and is short-termism and not in their interest, nor does it fit their strategy. Thanks, Clive. It just didn't make any sense. Both Clive and I have business backgrounds. I still have one. Clive obviously is a leading light at the BBC in entertainment, but he deals with contracts all the time. He knows when stuff makes commercial sense or not. It makes no sense. You can stop... Well, I wouldn't want to say... Look, I'm never going to say it might not. It might not come. It might not. All I'm telling you is I believe it will. And I believe enough that it will, that I'm prepared to put my money where my mouth is. But, there's no guarantees until they confirm or decline. You know where I stand, says Martin? Yep. If you don't know me, you think I'm a Stadia hater. No, I know you're not. You play Stadia, but I will confirm I'm not a hater. I am a consumer. Yeah, Martin, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Rock, I think Doragon had a great season of why it's not coming to Stadia. He said Ubisoft looks at the first 3 years of putting the games on a platform and then they sum up their games aren't doing. Don't quite get that one, my friend. There are people out there. I mean, to be fair, I don't think that recently, but there's one or two developers that said, like the guy that did the Goose game. Oh, I wouldn't go to Stadia because this. But equally, you have to ask yourself, for somebody who probably had no interest in coming to Stadia in the first place, but knowing that I Hate Stadia is one of the biggest clickbait links you can possibly have now, either in your show or your video or for your game, it gets you a huge amount of kudos. Why wouldn't they use it? But I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here. But I think there might be timed exclusive deal. Okay. You know where I stand on that one, my friend. Tea, as example of things being served, has to come from a Brit. I don't drink tea, funny enough. I don't like it. I'm not a massive... I don't drink it at all. I don't like the aftertaste. There's that kind of... I'm a coffee drinker. That's what I drink. I love my coffee. Crow says, all great points that Rocky's making, but this could all be solved if Stadia... Yeah, the very last tweet that I put out this afternoon, Crow, thank you, was that, look, for all those calling me a Stadia shill, ultimately, and I have called them out in the past, and I have examples of hour-long calling outs on my channel, which I've never taken down. You can go and watch them. Ultimately, they have always been guilty of sporadic and, one would argue, ill-considered communication. I think this is an example where if their marketing team had a longer lead, I was going to say shorter lead, the opposite, a longer lead, because I think the problem we have here is short leadism. I think this project is so important to the cloud board, because you've got to bear in mind, next to searching and the money that it makes from advertising therein, their cloud services are their biggest revenue earner, and Stadia is part of that. So the whole cloud thing is really dear to Google's heart, and I think because of that, they're reticent to be quick to respond. I think they probably have a chain of command that a thought has to go through before it can come to our ears. And I think if they could somehow find a way to shorten that, that would go a long way to helping with issues like this. But I agree with you, Crow. That's their biggest problem. I do like Earl Grey. That's the only tea I do like, actually. And I agree with you on that one, my friend. They would do a big party stream for their 3-year. Oh, wouldn't that be cool, Dre? Hey, I'd love that. You inspired me to do the same, Rock, only I required the same in return. You did. Bjorn did a bet. He betted you. And he said he would give you the money, but you'd have to give him it if it came. Primo's, I love what... By the way, check out Primo's response to Martin's tweet. Don't take on the whole kind of one versus the other, but Primo, what I love about him is he does the critical thinking thing that so many people do not do. You can be a contrarian or you can be a conformist. Those are the two. They're kind of the yin and yang of social behavior. But in being both of those, all I ask is that you do the critical thinking and weigh up the pros and the cons. Don't just go with the crowd and don't just go against the crowd. It's really important. Sorry, Primo, what did you say? My military unit deploys every year, dealing with hundreds of people and millions of dollars, and still they get it wrong. Yep, every year. People with no plane tickets, equipment's not shipped. Absolutely, my friend. My rugby team, the Exeter Chiefs, who, by the way, beat the champions of their first game this weekend. It was a brilliant game. One of their key players, a South African fella, went home to South Africa to renew his work visa or something, and left all his documentation in the car park. So he missed the game and they had to ship out some stuff. Happens all the time. You actually got a taker. I know. Happy Martin says, it's so sad, Adam. Twitter's such a bad place. I think the problem is, this is why I always put a little smiley. Clive does this as well, a little smiley or a little wink or something, just so that you know what, it is sarcasm or it is irony, but it's a joke and nothing is meant by it. Ubisoft stated, by the way, they're stopping announcing games 6 months before they hit the shelves. For Assassin's Creed, said in context of Infinity stuff. Well, that's interesting, Bjorn. Watch us on Thursday when we do Rock Players. Bjorn has been writing a load of stuff about the Ubisoft Forward, some stuff that we kind of missed because we were bantering. So we're going to go do a bit more of a deep dive on that. That would be really good. Meaning Mirage is likely coming before 6 months. Gotcha. So they're announcing it now. It must be within 6 months. Cowboy, I'm a big fan putting my opinions out there, Rock. You don't say. So I think it's fine. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, I don't do it often, my friend. I don't do it often. I know I didn't call you a golem. I said you should change it from happy to glum. Glum means unhappy. Not golem. Oh, that would have been so funny. He also writes for Stadia Source as a fun hobby. That's cool, my friend. I wanted to be part of the gaming community. Bless you. I'd love them to do their Thursday night show again. It used to be one of the highlights of my week. For Honor is on Xbox. Yeah, I know it's on Xbox. And I know it's on PlayStation. But it's not on the cloud anywhere, is it? Apart for Luna is literally a permission if it comes... Yeah, exactly. A port for Luna. It's just Windows. It's little more. They do have to ensure things like touch controls. And it's got... recognition of different things to fit in with the Luna interface, but ultimately it's virtually job. I know GFN do a lot of the work. It's like a day's worth of work. Boom, there it goes. It's weeks. It's at least 2 weeks for Stadia. It's so much easier. But I don't think with 45,000 employees that's Ubisoft's problem. It would be the problem for somebody like the guys bringing Arctic Awakening, or the guy doing his, Outbreak, where there's only 2 of them and only one developer, and the other lady does the copywriting and stuff. Bound to be. Rock, if I'm wrong, I would say I was wrong. Yeah, That's all right, mate. I know you will. I know you will. You're not a contrarian. Truth be told, says Rudix, I'm more excited for Assassin's Creed Red. Oh, didn't go there because, of course, I think they are going to be mobile games, aren't they? But linking in with the Infinity is going to be something else. For Honor is on the cloud on Xbox. Yeah, it's not on Luna. That's my point. It's probably in PS Now as well, but it ain't on Luna. The most important, says Martin, is that we all play games and have fun. And anyway, I've played For Honor and I didn't like it, so you're not missing anything. Go and play it on Xbox. The most important is that we all play games and have fun. Absolutely. This isn't about you and me. This isn't about Jim and John or Jenny and Jeffrey. It's not about that. It's not about that. This is about opinions are great as long as they're served up as, in my opinion. When they're served up as, this is what I think's happening because I've got fact, or this is bound to be happening, or this is definitely going to happen, that's wrong. Red and Hexy are not I cannot wait for Hexy. That got me so stoked. So stoked. Jade's Mobile, Red and Hexy are next gen on their platforms. Thank you, fellas. Right, listen, let's call it a day. I don't know if I've crashed already into Stadia Pro Gaming. I can't remember the days he streams, but I hope I haven't. Guys, thank you so much, as always, for your very welcome input. It's absolutely a pleasure to see so many of you as well. I hope my opinions, based on probability, gave you some food for thought. As I've said, check out Clive later in, 3 hours, 4 hours, Clive, who I'm sure will have more considered opinion and probability because he's been writing and rewriting all day, so it's going to be a show not to miss. I will be back tomorrow with a few of my friends because it's Tuesday, it's Stadia Rokk Show day. We'll no doubt be covering a bit more of this, and who knows, we may even have some level of clarity by then, pro or con. I just hope for that, actually. Personally, if it comes, fantastic. If it doesn't, that's a shame, but clarity is brilliant because we can just get on with the day. See you all very soon. Thank you so much, as always. I've been rocking around the clock and you have been keeping me company. See you all tomorrow.